Welcome to 3D.sk, human photo reference for 3D artists and game developers. On this site you can find thousands of images, from studio photo reference to street photo reference. We also have a selection of animals on our site. We have some costumes, we have weapons, armor. We also have 3D scans of bodies and heads, clothing, animals, all the aforementioned above, and 3D maps and textures. So in this tutorial, we're going to be carrying on from the last one when we cleaned up the R3DS scan. Now that our topology is in place and we're happy with it, I want to create a new texture from the polypaint. So you can go to create, new from polypaint, and that's going to give us this texture. Now we've already done the UV, so it should be easy to take it into Photoshop and edit this. So I'm just going to clone this. I'm going to export it. It's on the other screen. Let me just go to 3D.sk tutorials and just go texture here. Just create a new folder. Just go texture. Okay, now that I've saved that out, now we've got Photoshop open. I've got this map that I got off a colleague. It was created by, this was not created by me, this texture, but it's on, I'm pretty sure it's on our site. So you can grab that. And now I'm going to open up my ZBrush files. Go back to where I was before. It's called texture and texture. Okay. Now what we want to do is we just want to transform or edit image rotation, flip canvas horizontally, no, vertically. Alright, now that we've got that, let's copy and paste this over here. Obviously it's too big, so we made a mistake in ZBrush actually. We forgot to set the size in UV map. Set it to 4096. And let's do that all again. Clone texture, still showing me new from polypaint. Clone texture should be 4096 now, yep. Export, and then we can go to where we had it before. Okay, now that we've got Photoshop open, let's close that down. Too small. Let's open this back up again. Texture. Image adjustments, rotation, vertical. Then we can get this, copy. Let's check the image size of this. I think this is 8000. Yeah, I'm right. So we can just put this down to 4096, which should be fine. Okay, now I'm going to turn on opacity. They won't be in exactly the same place. Turn the opacity up a little bit so I can see what's going on. If I want it, probably I'm going to put it round about here. Yeah, round about here somewhere. That should be great. Okay. Now we can put a mask on this. And we can start painting away some detail. So I'm going to use the black. Kind of paint away some detail, get my ears back in there, get most of my detail back in there. You know, you kind of want to go crazy with it at first and then go from there. So I'm fairly happy with most of it apart from the head portion. I'd like this bit to be, well, what that is. So I can go to white now. And we can just kind of fill this in. Don't worry about the color right now. I'm gonna just do it around the ear a little bit. all this area. Zoom in here a little bit, see what we're doing. Okay, I didn't like that too much. Should also probably change our brush. It should have smooth brush on or soft round, which should make quite a big difference. So I want to keep my characters kind of placed around here, around the eyes. Kind of smooth that out. Okay, that's fine. Use the white here. What I actually want to do, I want to get these ears from the other one and kind of warp them into place. So we can get our warp out. Turn down the opacity. And it's not working quite as it should. That's because I got the mask selected with the warp. Let me go to warp again. Select the actual thing that I want to select. And just move these ears down a little bit. Move this area up. Move this area down. And that should be fine. I'm just going to press enter on that. Go back to my mask. Now we should be able to block out those ears of that mesh and put in our own a bit better. Just like that, yeah. Let's put that a little bit. Okay, maybe go with a bit more of a broader brush with the soft round. Just kind of do this, kind of blend it in a little bit. Maybe here. Might turn down the opacity a little bit on this. Kind of get some of that texture in, but keep my kind of this wrinkles and stuff. Oh, we definitely want this bit out. So I'm just going to kind of go over with some opacity. Maybe do that a little bit. Go back to the black. Go back over that a little bit. Blend it. We're just blending it in at this point a little bit better. Go back to white. Turn the opacity back up. Just make sure that we got a whole ear in there. I want to zoom in a little bit. Our ear, not the ear of that. Okay. Okay, now you'll notice that the skin is not anywhere near the same color really. The main bit is here. Those wrinkles might actually blend in okay. Just want to make sure my eyebrows are showing through there. You can use as much or as little as this texture as you like, depending on how much you want to change the character. I want to keep this main area here. As you can see, that actually doesn't fit in too badly, but I would prefer if maybe I still want some of the cheek, because the cheek's got some nice texture that you can see. Maybe some of the nose. Actually, their noses are very similar. Maybe we can use quite a bit of this. Maybe not so high up there, but definitely here. We can maybe use some of it. See how it looks? We can always go back. His lips are a bit too big though. That is one issue. He actually fits quite nicely with this character. So we're using quite a lot of it, but we're keeping like some aspects of our original. Because we also want some displacement from this. See the displacement on the lips, what they're like. So I might keep the displacement for the bottom lip. Got some nice displacement. Then the top lip isn't quite as good, so I might just leave that. Maybe I'll go back to this, kind of bring my own eye texture in here. Let's just see how that looks. Just kind of do that. Maybe turn to black. Kind of put that back in there. Yeah, I think having most of the original eye is quite important. Maybe we can keep some of that, perhaps. You can make your minds up. I might just remove that part, yeah. It just doesn't make much sense to me. Alright, so now we want to change the color of this. Then go to some adjustment layers. Maybe we can go start off with hue and saturation. Maybe we want to turn the saturation down a touch. Maybe change the color. You got to also remember to press Alt to make sure it only affects this layer. So now you can see the differences. So you have to try and match it up. If you go in close, you might be able to match it up a bit better. Right there is perhaps where I want to kind of leave that, because this has got like a yellow hue, but his skin has a bit more of a pinkish hue. So let's leave that. And then we can go to, which one should we go to next? Oops, just clicked something by accident. Go back to this and choose Vibrance. The Vibrance might give us a hand here. Saturation. We're just trying to match it up as close as we can. You'll be able to see the main difference probably around here. Okay. Maybe go to color balance. Maybe get a bit more yellow in there. Just a tiny bit, just to make it match up. Just little changes can really help kind of blend the color of it. Feel like it needs to be more bright. There we go. Feel like that was pretty successful. Feel like that matches up a lot better than it did before. Okay, I'm gonna say I kind of like the way that's matching up right now. Now we can even go back. Because we've done it in a non-destructive way, we can go back to our mask. And maybe I don't like that bit so much. Maybe I prefer mine a bit better. Yeah, just the whole area around the nose. We want to keep kind of our thing. Yeah. Then we can go to white and maybe we can bring back some of this. Just on a low opacity. Maybe something like that. Maybe go to black and just kind of maybe not completely remove it, but use a very low opacity to kind of blend it a bit better, you know? Sometimes blending them with low opacity will help with the blending process a bit better. Okay. So now that we've done some of that, we can go back to it, of course. I'm going to save this. I'm going to save it as Photoshop's fine. Let's go combined texture. Let's go back into ZBrush. Now that we're in ZBrush, we can go texture up here. Sorry. We can go import, combine texture. Might take a minute to load in. Okay, go here, go flip. And then we can bring that in and see how that looks. So you can see that it's kept some of the old parts of the old mesh, but also added new parts of the texture. So you can decide which one you like better. I personally feel like this one has a lot more tone and kind of texture quality to it. You can also see at the back that it's got a lot better hair material on it now. But the issue that we're having now is the texture isn't matching up so much. So there is a way that we can resolve this though. So let's go back into Photoshop. And what we want to do is we want to Control All or Control A, I mean, copy merged, and then paste. And then we want to move this up. Actually, let's just delete that. Yeah. Copy merged and paste. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to desaturate this. I'm going to go to levels, drag it over here. Just turn up the levels a little bit to make more contrast. The eyebrows might cause some problems here. So what I may do actually is go back to this mask and just remove the eyebrows from the equation for now. Because they're white and black and it's going to cause some problems with the displacement map basically. So I just want to remove them for a sec. And bring these back in there. And blend them together. Bring back some of them. Maybe it's fine, just because this is surface texture, it might be okay actually. We want more surface texture anyway. Just get as much surface texture as you can in there. We've already got some texture on the mesh, so we might be able to use this as an opportunity to get more texture on the mesh. Obviously not that one. I think it'll be a good opportunity to do that. I'm just gonna white all this in. Maybe go back a little bit, see where that's going up to. Maybe not this bit so much. Actually, I do want this bit. My bad. Or do I? And that should be fine. Okay, so now that we've got most of that texture, because this texture that's underneath or over it has more detail for the displacement map. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go Control All, copy merged. Oopsie. I'm going to go to desaturate. Going to go to our levels. Just make it a bit more contrasted. Then I'm going to go to filter, high pass. Put it on a fairly low setting. Then we can change the levels once again. And this is just the way I like to do my displacement maps. Should work out quite well, but we'll see how it works out. Might actually, no, that's okay actually. Save as, I'm going to save this as displacement. Now we can go back into ZBrush. We can go new from polypaint, or new from, sorry, not new from polypaint. Go to polypaint and then polypaint from texture. Remember to turn RBG on, polypaint from texture. Okay, now we can go to our texture map. We'll have to import it from here. Displacement. Split vertically. Let's put it into texture map. Then you're going to see all the detail. Don't know what that is. Is that a spot? Oh yeah, he's got a little spot here. That's fine. No big deal. Can always remove it if we don't want it that much. There's just mainly the skin texture that we want from this. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go to masking, mask by color, and mask by intensity. And we're going to invert the selection. We're going to go to deformation, wherever it is. Here it is. And we're going to inflate it, or de-inflate it, I mean, by a small amount, I think. Unless we're doing it the wrong way around. Now this is a de-inflate by like 1 or 2. -2. Let's try out -2 and see how that goes. Obviously you can't see that well yet because it's still got the texture on. Didn't mean to do that. Let's go to texture map, turn it off. Go to this, turn this off. Let's see if we've been able to transfer the detail. And I'd say, yeah, we've transferred most of the detail. You can see it all here. And to me, it seems to work out pretty well. Transferred a lot of detail. And we've got a new texture map that looks a lot better. Just worried about this area. It seems fine to me. But you can see if we go on basic material, you can see the detail a bit better. See that we've got a lot more detail now. So that's just basically how you can get some detail back or some detail in that you didn't have before without going too much work in ZBrush. There's different methods of doing things. It just depends how much time. If you've already got a texture like the Stano, diffuse I used, then it might be easier just to do it that way and use the same UV maps for all the models you do and the same topology. So now that that's done, I'm going to save it out and see you in the next tutorial. Bye! Welcome to the end of this tutorial. Feel free to comment with feedback and suggestions below, and also comment on what you would like to see in future videos. Thanks and goodbye.